Okay. I'll do mine.
But in full disclosure, most of this stuff was somebody else's at some point. And then my girl Amy stuck it in piece by piece. So. Oh, hey everyone, welcome to The Straight Shooters with Russ and Greg.
Howdy.
And we started off with a very profound topic, which was hair.
Hey, Tracy.
We can show the comment. Oh, there we go. Thanks for joining us, Tracy.
Awesome.
Well, this is our second episode, right?
Yeah.
Good. And I'm actually, on the first one, Greg did the producing. On this one, I'm doing the producing, so I'm feeling a little bit of performance anxiety because he does such a good job, and he's able to talk and type at the same time. I can't do either one solo, really. So... Solo really well. Dear. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And the reason
Tracy's here. That's awesome.
For sure. The reason we came up with this idea is to cut the crap. And both sides of the fence. I was thinking about this morning once again is we're such a perfect match for this because for yourself, Greg, you sort of came from, I'm going to use labels now, sort of conventional business blend through to spirituality. I went from spirituality blend through to business. So we really, and I'm not just saying this because it's our show, we really have some very interesting perspectives on life, really, on both aspects.
You start off on the left and I start off on the right, and then we meet in the middle and we give each other a hug. It's like, aren't we brilliant?
Exactly. Yeah, there you go, right? Oh, shoot. Well, and I think that's always been my thing right from the beginning is, hold on. See, I've got all these buttons here, so I'm going to go me. Don't mind me. I'm going to talk to myself. So one of the things for me, look at that. So you can go somewhere else, Greg, now. It's just me now. So one of the things for me was, as I stepped into this over a decade ago was, I'm using maybe extreme words this morning, but I guess maybe the hypocrisy of it and how we talk about this stuff and we got all these great cliches and words to say, but how the heck do you apply it where you really need it? And that's today. And one of the things I noticed really early on was you had, using my labels now, you had spiritual community that met over here. They had their little Roses and Posies circle.
Yeah.
You had the business community over here, and they had their market reports and advertising budgets and efficiency experts and things like that. Exactly. And it's like both of them stayed in their own two camps, and we're not going to talk to each other. And I think for me, what really matters is it's about blending the two together. And that, for me, I guess, is what the show is about.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, we got a bit of a noise in the background. I got an echo. Hear myself.
Okay. No worries.
Are you? I don't have it now. Did you change your preferences?
Oh, actually, no. I haven't touched anything. I didn't do it. I didn't touch it. See, hands are here.
Look, mine, no hands.
Yeah, that's right. Look, mine, no hands. So that
reminds me when I was in junior high and I used to ride my bike back and forth to school. And it's like, I love that bicycle because I felt like I was flying, right? So I learned how to ride the bicycle on, with no hands, right? And so I'm riding along down my street that I know very well. I'm riding along. And I noticed in this truck up on the right-hand side, but what the heck is that? And then as I come up to it, this big, gigantic head of a Newfoundlander dog sticks out of the window, and I'm like, I had to grab. I almost fell off the bike, and so that's my bicycle riding story. But I could have swore it was a bear. I had this whole story. There's a bear. There's a bear in the truck back there.
Shoot.
It's probably a dog. Do you know how big that dog is?
It's probably the same
was bigger than me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dear.
I didn't see what Tracy had to say.
Well, she said that.
Fluffy. Ooh.
Yes. Yes. The
Fluffy. Gotta be serious. I was very serious. And I was one of those people, I wasn't going to be fluffy. I was no BS, all business. I was actually a tough guy to work for.
Okay, because?
Because I was trying to control everything and I was full of fear, but I thought it was about being in control and mastering my destiny, and it's a pile of horse bucky.
Well, what's really interesting is that is a wonderful lead-in to my initial question. And I suggested this to Greg. I says, I've got a topic for the show, a question, but I don't want to tell you what it is beforehand. So, and it fits really well with, exactly. It fits really well with really what we're talking about here, and it's this one. So what role does vulnerability play in our personal and business lives?
In the past, it had no role, and there's no damn way I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to be open. No damn way. And I got by. I actually made a pretty good living. I closed 3 businesses and sold 3, and I'm working number 7 and 8 right now. But except one thing bugged me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that for the hundreds of people that I worked with and the thousands of people I trained in my workshops I think I did workshops, I spoke 20 to 25 times a month for like 6.5 years.
Wow.
And it was just a crazy pace. But I remember I got pneumonia and I was laying on my back for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to shut the whole business down. And I was disturbed by the number of people I trained and how few people actually applied what they were learning.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And I was beside myself because, the business I built, I used applying what I was teaching. I actually applied what I was teaching.
Right.
And it actually worked. And it was pretty... And the people, and when I retired in 2010, I had, of the 42 years I've worked, I've taken 11 years off. I retired 3 times. The longest time I retired was 2010 to 2014, 4 years. And as I had a chance to reflect on stuff, I sat down one day and I drew a line down a piece of paper and I wrote, clients that didn't get what they wanted and clients that got what they wanted. And the clients that got what they wanted was a pretty short list. Clients who didn't get what they wanted was a very long list. And so since 2010, I've been pondering this question is why is that? And there's a whole bunch of answers to that. And I don't know if I'm even getting close to answering the question, but it's the people, the first thing I saw, the people on the right side of the page that got what they wanted had a very clear vision about what they were looking to achieve, but they didn't care how they got there. They were totally flexible on how it was going to come about.
Okay.
And so they were very open and vulnerable.
Ah, okay. Got it.
I don't think I could have put it into words quite that way until this moment. They were very open and vulnerable. They didn't have any kind of attachment to the how. If it didn't work, it was out of there. And okay, now what do I do? Okay, I'm going to try this now.
Okay.
People on the left side of the page of clients who didn't get what they wanted, they all ran into the same roadblocks of things that didn't work. The other interesting thing is they didn't have a very clear vision. And, that didn't work. Okay, I guess I'm done.
Sure, exactly. Yeah. So I want to get back to...
Sorry, I totally...
That's perfect. because that's the way these, for us, the best, there's a little agenda button here. I don't think we'll ever use it because we do way better work when we don't have an agenda. And that's just what you finished saying. We have a vision, but we're flexible in how we get there.
Exactly.
So what I find, and I'm really curious, when you got pneumonia, so one of the things for me, and this is what got me thinking about this, is vulnerability, especially as it relates to conventional business, I will say, is often viewed as a sign of weakness. And as you're the leader, you're the taskmaster, you're the drill sergeant, you have no weaknesses. There is no weaknesses at all. We cannot show weakness because we think vulnerable is being weak.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking for yourself, it's probably really interesting when you had that experience of pneumonia, it was probably brought you really up close and personal to being vulnerable.
Oh, I was because I was vulnerable, and I had a newborn son.
Oh, okay.
And I had to refund a bunch of money because I had to cancel 3 months worth of programs.
Sure.
And I was like starting over. And it was like, be damned if I'm going to be caught that way again. Except I didn't know that I was part of the problem.
Okay.
You see, I was open. I was vulnerable, but I wasn't open. Because to me, the only definition of open that works for me is a willingness to learn and a willingness to change.
Okay.
That to me is the definition of open. Because if I'm not willing to learn something and I'm not willing, based on that learning, to change it, I'm nowhere.
So what's your definition of is that your definition of vulnerable or vulnerability?
Well, my definition of vulnerability is very different. I guess my definition of vulnerability is that's the only way to live.
Okay, so how do we?
I don't live there all the time. I flip back and forth, but I think, let me take a step back and share another story if I could.
Sure.
It kind of illustrates, I think, this point of vulnerability and how my vulnerability disturbed people.
And that was one of my points is we're going split screen. This is one of my points is, and on both sides of the fence, because I experienced this personally myself from the spiritual side, is on the business side, vulnerability is taboo because they think it's a sign of weakness, so you don't show it. I experienced similar from the spiritual side in that I found when I allowed people, because one of the things for me is keeping it real. Right? Let's keep it real. That's part of the straight shooters. Let's keep it real. And so if I was having a challenging day or things weren't just perfect, right? Big, white, shiny teeth smile kind of thing. I allowed people to see that. And exactly. And I tell you, it makes them uncomfortable, doesn't it?
Thanks, Shauna. Appreciate you.
Hey, Shauna, thanks for checking in. That's perfect.
Good to see you.
Yeah, love this. This is so cool. So if we have our viewers do a little comment, we can bring them on screen, and that's perfect.
Love it.
So carry on, but that was a big thing I noticed too.
So,
so people didn't like it. They were uncomfortable with it.
People didn't like it. So what happened is I'll cut down the long introduction. I ended up in the hospital having a bowel cancer operation.
Okay.
And I never felt more vulnerable and more peaceful time in my life because at the time, so I had a case of really bad diarrhea. When I stood up from the toilet, I realized there was a problem because it was full of red blood and black blood. I thought, I got to get it to the hospital. I knew there was a problem. And I paused and I kind of asked, I said, what is it? It's cancer. Okay, what's going to happen? You're going to have surgery. It's all going to be okay. It was that quick. That's how long it took. It was actually shorter than that. It was instantaneous. and I had this complete calm and assurance. And I just went through the process. And I was talking to my son about it here the other day, and I said, I was pretty chill about the whole thing. You guys were really disturbed. He says, yeah, you're right. He says, you were really chill about it. And all of us were all freaking out about it. Yeah, because the second thing I decided is I was going to practice. I was going to use my Buddhist practice. Mm-hmm. I'd be given instructions for a specific meditation called the Medicine Buddha, and a specific meditation. And I did any time people weren't around or I had a spare moment, I would do the mantra and the visualization exercise, and I would visualize it all being well. And that's what I did for weeks. And people didn't know what to do. And didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that the thing that I found is people, they don't know what to do. And I think it's because we're just using this word, I guess, as a tag. But when we show people that we're actually real, especially when we're in a, if you want to call it a leadership role, whatever, however we want to articulate that.
We're all our own leader.
For sure. When people put us in that role, then I think the idea is we never have a bad day. And when we do, and we allow them to see it, they don't know what the hell to do with it.
Right. And the same thing happens for telling the truth.
Ah, okay.
Straight shooter.
Okay. So carry on.
No, I know. I don't know that this, I love doing this with you. I don't know that this will ever be some wildly popular thing.
Right.
Because the truth makes people uncomfortable. Yeah, we should do an ebook, John. Okay. That's a great idea. But the truth is uncomfortable. And why is that? Because it forces me to come up against the way things are. I spend so much time in my head. The truth sometimes has bad breath.
There you go.
Yeah, that's true. But it brings me up against the way things are, because for a lot of my life, I spent a lot of time and energy avoiding seeing the way things actually were. I'd rather create some veil, some illusion of this is what I believe, and this is my values, and here's who I am, and here's the image and the mask I'm putting out to the world, as opposed to the cops were just outside my door this morning. Mm-hmm. with assault rifles, because the complex next door, I asked the cop what's going on. He says, oh, nothing you need to be concerned about. And then as I'm walking away, you hear, come out of the house with your hands up. Oh, okay. And I'm chuckling, and I said, nothing to be concerned about, eh? I turned around and looked at him and smiled and kind of chuckled to myself.
That's funny. I think that's good. Shoot, you bet.
In my mind saying, what the hell are you doing living here? What's the matter with you? Well, I like living here. It's very close to the river. Oh, yeah, but look what you have to put up with. This is a sketchy area. And my mind's going yitter yatter.
And then what?
And then I just told it to shut up. Okay. I just felt into it and released that all is well. Everything's fine. All is well.
So now for me,
and actually what I should say is the universe told me all is well.
Yeah.
Because I just felt this all is well sensation in me.
See, for me, that is a description or example of being vulnerable, because it wasn't about control and force and got to be my way, this way, or the highway. It was, if you will, surrendering to the moment, feeling it, allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to listen. And I think in conventional business, that stuff makes no sense at all, because you've got to control. You've got to force. If you show any vulnerability, it's weakness, and your competitor is going to kick you out of the arena. And so how do you take that experience, and really I think one of the themes for your life now, how do you take that and blend that into your business coaching? So how is it different now?
Well, I'll tell you exactly how it's different now.
Okay.
Before, I would never have touched on discussing politics with my clients, discussing religion, and discussing money.
Okay.
Now we talk about all of it.
Because
it's the reality of where people are living, and if I truly want to serve people, I need to go where they need to go. I need to walk alongside of them, because by shining the light, taking the flashlight of awareness onto an area that is of concern, is the beginning of freedom, small L liberation.
Okay.
It all begins with awareness. And so the vulnerability, so the other thing is, before I wasn't willing to be vulnerable. Today I'm willing to be vulnerable. I share my stories. I've had coaching calls that were with clients so powerful and emotional. I was moved emotionally.
Wow.
And I let it show. I just be real, because one of the things I found, to the degree that I show up, how I model showing up, guess what? My clients observe it.
Sure.
And it gives, that classic Nelson Mandela quote that, who are you to be gorgeous and beautiful and successful? Who are you not to be?
Yeah.
Because you living your life gives others, you live your life openly and fully, it gives others permission to do the same.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Plus it affirms my journey.
Okay.
It also, as I'm showing up for me, it affirms that I'm showing up for me.
Okay. So then does that mean that your business life, the counseling, the coaching, all that type of stuff is really, I'm going to say, nothing more than one aspect of your own personal growth and healing?
Correct. One of the things I've said for decades is that to the degree that I grow personally, so goes my business.
Yeah.
If my business isn't growing, it means I'm not growing. If I have problems in my business, I need to look in the mirror, because I'm the problem. Usually.
And I think that's probably one of the primary differences between vulnerability, the way it's looked at conventional, I'll say spiritual, in business is, for me, if there's an issue with business, the issue is with the business, period. So then it's either increased profit, decrease expenses, increase labor force, decrease labor source. We got to look at the profit and loss, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with your damn person. Leave that personal life, and a leader, leave your personal life at home. When you're in business now, leave your personal life at home. We got to make things happen here. I've
never found a way to surgically remove the business from the owner. I never found a way to get a knife sharp enough that I could separate the owner from who had a life from the business that needed him to do certain things, him or her to do certain things.
And I think
what you're talking about is, this is business, this is personal. The two never meet. I actually think the secret is they come together and overlap.
And I think that's the primary difference. Is conventional business would say Greg Dickson's crazy. And that's where the whole vulnerability thing is, right? Because if I'm a leader, right, I have to be strong, and I can't.
I lost you. Hello. Hello. Hey, my friend, I lost you. Get caught in. There he is.
So I
was holding space. I was continuing on.
Oh, good. So were we still broadcasting?
So yeah, we're still broadcasting somehow.
Okay. Well, it must have. It's my internet technology is great when it works. My internet connection, all of a sudden, it just dropped out. I was like, uh-oh. But I come back and remember where we're at. So how's the show been?
It's been good. It's been better.
Okay. Well done. Yeah, well done. Okay, we're there. Okay, so now what are you going to do?
I can't see what you're doing, man.
Well, that's okay. It's just me on the screen. So anyway.
Oh, good.
But you're back now. So sorry about that. I just had to go to the bathroom. So that's what I did. Yeah. So anyway, carry forward. So my whole thing about in conventional business, they have to be separate. Has to be. And what you're saying is it's the exact opposite.
I think it's actually. I gotta say it. It's a mental illness to try to keep it separate.
Ah, okay.
It'll make you crazy. It'll make you sick. Because why are we doing the business? You're doing the business. So in the realm that you and I work in, we work with small business owners, solo entrepreneurs, typically. I have, the largest company I ever did work for, consulting and coaching work for, was a small public company that had hundreds of employees, but that was pretty unusual. Most of my clients, and so how do you, if you've got a personal pressing issue that's affecting your business, how could I, as a business coach, not possibly support you in that?
And I think that's one of the areas.
Or vice versa.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Business issue that's interfering with your personal life. How, from an ethics perspective, how can I avoid that? I don't know how I don't know. Well, the type of coaching I did was very different than what I do now. The type of coaching I did then was very structural basis, did a lot of work on helping companies recapitalize, rework their business plans, get new financing, get new investors. It was a very different thing. It was much more technical compared to what I do now.
Yeah.
And I'm having more fun now than I ever have, and it's easier than it's ever been.
Well, and I'm thinking that
Gordon.
Yeah, he's Gordon. Gordon, one of our loyal listener and viewers. Gordon's really cool. He also has a band. Gordon has a really cool band.
I've seen Gordon's band.
Yeah. So check out Gordon York. You'll find him on Facebook there.
Right arm.
And I think that's one of the things is that vulnerability is probably the greatest strength a leader can bring to the table. And I think you've just said it. And I think that's one of the reasons that the not that I have any stats to back this up, but the medical issues that that the corporate level gets and all this kind of stuff. I think one of the primary reasons for that is they don't allow themselves to be vulnerable, to be open, to be all those things you said, because you're not supposed to be that way. And in a crazy ass way, they're really effectively shooting themselves, building on your experience this morning, they're shooting themselves in the foot. Because what they think their greatest weaknesses is actually their greatest strength. But I think because we've had it so entrained in us that if you're vulnerable, if you allow your students, if you allow your employees to see you when you're not at your best, I'm not saying we wallow in it, but I think the best example, I wrote an article, it was a while ago now, when I talked about the blessings of a curse. And basically what I was saying was, as leaders, and as you said, we're all leaders, absolutely. As teachers, we're all teachers, we're all students, all that kind of stuff. When do we send the strongest message? And it's not when everything's going rosy and wonderful. That's not when we send it. That, for me, in many respects, that's not where we really we really show leadership. It's when we show leadership is when things aren't rosy and we allow people to see us walking through it, not to it, not going there and setting up camp, but flowing through it. Because to me, that's when we send the greatest testament. Because everybody can feel happy, peaceful, fun, whatever. When everybody can feel abundant when you're flush with cash, and it's easy to feel healthy when all the tests say you're healthy. But there's a hell of a difference between that and choosing to live abundantly or emit that energy when you're not flush with cash. And just keep walking even though you are dragging your butt on the ground because things aren't going well. But again, students, employees see you moving through that. And that's where we said, I think that's what, as you say, you show up and you share your story, because it's our stories and the fact that, no, we aren't this glossy, big, white, shiny teeth infomercial caricature. We're real people too, and allowing people to see us walking through that, I feel really is our greatest strength.
High five.
Yes, high five. There we go. Oh, we'll do it this way. There we go. So high five. There's right there. Okay, whatever. Okay, that was fun. So how are we doing? At about half an hour?
Yeah.
So if I go, now we're having fun. See, if I go halfway in the screen like that,
then nobody's on the screen.
Oh God, we're degenerating quickly.
Oh, that's how I tell whether we're on. Oh, that tells me whether we're on. I see it now. I can tell what view it's on because there's a mask it puts up on the video on my end. Huh.
Oh, okay, so now we're half and half.
Yeah.
Now you're big, I'm little.
Now it's all me.
Okay, and now I'm big, you're little. Now we're half and half.
All right.
Well, we're kind of half an hour into the show. Do we want to have closing remarks?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share and close with?
Surrender.
And I might venture to add, surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving it up.
I'm going to take and borrow from Michael Singer.
Okay.
Practice R&R.
Okay.
Relax and release.
Perfect.
Like when you feel the charge and you feel frustrated, you feel anxious, you feel vulnerable, you feel whatever.
Yeah.
Relax into it. Open your heart. Release. R&R.
Maybe that's the perfect description of vulnerability. Relax and release.
Relax and release.
Right.
I got nothing else.
I can't think of a better way to conclude. I have fun doing these. It's
it's awesome, man. It's really good to see you. And we're here every 2 weeks.
Yes, we are. You betcha. So every second and fourth Wednesday, right?
Oh yeah, okay. You're right.
I have, so I have. We also have the Russ and Tracy show, and it's every first and third Wednesday. So I got to keep my head screwed on straight.
Now we're gonna confuse everybody. We're the straight talkers, are the
Straight
second
shooters.
shooters.
Yes, second and fourth.
Second and fourth Wednesday at 11. And the Russ and Tracy show, which is an awesome show.
Thank you.
First and third.
Yes, Wednesday 11. Yeah, all Mountain Standard Time.
Yep.
So how do we find you?
You can find me at gregdickson.ca. You can find me here on Facebook under facebook.com/rebootartist. I'm on Twitter at GregBD. And if you have one of these things called a phone, I answer the phone.
Oh, whoa, that's weird. That's weird.
Me at 403-307-8281.
Perfect.
Always happy to visit.
You bet. You can find him on Facebook. Reboot Artist, that's your fan page, is it?
Yeah, you're correct.
Yes, and of course you can just do a search for Greg Dickson, send him a friend request. The same with myself. So Greg's website is Greg. Oh, look at me type. I'm so proud of myself.
GregDickson.ca. He's talking and typing.
GregDickson.ca. That's right. Absolutely.
Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, open your hands and open your heart. Good one.
And with myself, mine is. So I can't talk and type at the same time. Just can't do it. It's just what it is. So
the masculine trait.
Oops, they did it all wrong. Whatever. I'm done. Forget that.
Send me all your traffic.
Exactly. Shoot. For me, it's share these broadcasts.
Yeah.
We love the comments. We love you guys joining in. Send us questions, comments, frustrations, challenges, wonderings. That's what this show is here for. My big word this year has been community. I'm going to say the only way. Oh, there we go. Our fan. Thank you. The only way we're going to get through this, and I don't want to really freight. The only way we're going to grow and expand at the pace and into these amazing experiences we're designed to is if we do it together.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this morning I was feeling like I want to hide.
Mm-hmm.
I felt all this energy, and it's like I want to hide. I don't want to put myself out there. It's like even after decades of doing this, I still run into the same issues.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? We're for me, nobody's further ahead or behind than anyone else. We're different, just at different spots on the circle.
You betcha.
Been a fun show. It's always great hanging out with you, buddy.
Fabulous. I love you, man. Appreciate you.
Right back at you. Thanks to all our viewers. Share, and we'll see you the fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday.
All right.
May the fourth be with us.
May the fourth be with you. And with that, we will conclude. Thanks, guys. See you on the web.